Everyone, and welcome to NameHero.com. In this video tutorial, I want to talk about how to set up the best WordPress web hosting. So if you're currently using WordPress and you're looking for a new web host, or maybe you're just starting your first WordPress website ever, I want to show you the features we offer here at NameHero and the benefits you get to hosting your WordPress website with us, and show you how we like to make things extremely easy, all while keeping your website extremely fast, safe, secure, and scalable for when you grow. So WordPress, it's the most popular content management system out there. It's grown from a basic blogging platform to a full-fledged content management system that powers over 1/3 of the internet. It pretty much websites out there that are using a content management system that's not custom coded is WordPress. People also like WordPress because of the flexibility. Unlike creating a website with Wix or another page builder, you're kind of at liberty to that service. So if Wix would ever go away or change something, you're kind of at their mercy. WordPress allows you to create your own website. Everything's hosted on your account, and you have the flexibility to move it, to modify it, or do what you see as best fit for your business. And with all the privacy concerns out there nowadays, this is another good way to make sure your data is your data and it doesn't go anywhere. No one else can see your data. So I'm personally a huge fan of WordPress. I've been using it since the late 90s, and I started using it pretty much for all my websites back in 2010. I moved that route. And because WordPress allows you to very easily and quickly create a professional looking website without having to code anything, without having to be a web designer, and without really having to do a ton of work. Once you get it set up and stuff, it's pretty self-explanatory and easy. Now, of course, finding a WordPress host is a whole nother story. Within the hosting industry, we've seen companies try to come out with managed WordPress hosting. There's some companies that specialize in it, but in my opinion, a lot of WordPress hosting out there on the internet is really overpriced. Sure, if you're a really huge organization such as like CNN getting thousands, hundreds of thousands of visitors a day, then you probably do need a pretty expensive and pretty large setup. But if you're just setting up your website, maybe you're starting a new website, or maybe your website's only getting a couple hundred visitors a day, you don't need to go paying hundreds or certainly not thousands of dollars a month for high quality hosting. So that's what we offer here at NameHero. If you are getting hundreds of thousands of visitors a day, we can accommodate you. We can develop a custom solution. Our techs can work with you to find the very best package for your website. We can custom create solutions and all that. But if you're just starting your website, or if you're getting a couple thousand visitors a day, then you can find rest in our web hosting packages for WordPress, and you'll find that your site loads fast, it's secure, and of course it is scalable. So let's talk about our offerings here at NameHero, and I also want to show you some of the features that we offer specifically tailored to WordPress. Let's go here and talk about our features. So to start off with our basic hosting packages, one, we include a free domain. So if you have not signed up with us yet, and maybe you already have your WordPress hosting website and you want to move it from another host. Well, if you want to move your domain too, we provide that free of charge for the first year. We don't like to nickel and dime. We like you to have everything you need to build your website right then and now. Now, if you're creating a new WordPress website, this is a great way to save an extra $15 a year because that's going to be free within the purchase of your hosting package. As you go through the order screen, you'll be able to register your free domain. Now, NameHero, we are a fully cloud-powered web hosting company. All of our servers are built inside of or on top of our high-speed cloud. If you're using some other companies out there, ask them, are you cloud-based? A lot of companies still use the standard dedicated servers because it's obviously the way it's been done for a long time. I personally started NameHero because I could not find a cloud-powered WordPress web host that was affordable. Sure, I could build out my own cloud and host WordPress on it, but it was fairly expensive and time-consuming. And I thought of people, the everyday average individual setting up a WordPress website, about how much trouble that would be to go deploy a cloud and configure it and get it all done. And that's just not realistic. It's very expensive and time-consuming, and it didn't work. So that's why I started NameHero, was to take this technology I used in my own online businesses and bring it out to the public. So along with this, we have unlimited SSD RAID 10 storage. So we don't monitor the number of gigabytes you upload to your account. If you have some images or some media content, you can upload unlimited to that. SSD RAID 10 stands for solid state drives protected by RAID 10. So solid state drives have a much faster read-write than a traditional SATA hard drive. If you're currently on a web host, you should ask them, do you use SSD drives? If not, and you move over to a host with SSD, you're going to notice a big performance increase. It's going to be faster when you're working on your site, and it's also going to be faster when your visitors are visiting. The hard drives just respond faster. RAID 10 is a protection module that we use. It's not a backup, but in real time, RAID 10 mirrors the drive that your data is on. So let's say your data is on this drive, and there's another drive monitoring it or replicating to it in real time. So in case a hardware failure would happen, that data would still be recoverable. So of course, it's not a backup, whereas a backup, it completes like once a day, or sometimes some backups in real time, it actually mirrors that drive in case of a hardware failure, adding redundancy. We allow for unmetered bandwidth, so the more traffic coming to your site, we don't have a limit based on that. Being in the cloud, we allocate each package a certain amount of RAM and CPU. So a lot of web hosts, this is something they cram way in the bottom of their terms of service, and I would say all shared web hosts out there especially have a RAM and CPU limit, and many of them just don't show it right up front. So we show those on top of our packages, so you know right off the bat how much RAM and CPU power that you can use. And of course, the more websites you get, the more visitors you get, the more plugins you have, the more RAM you need, and the more CPU processing power you need. So you can select that within our packages. We offer free and automatic SSL certificates. So this is secure for your website. In Google Chrome last year, I think 2018 in July, all websites without an SSL certificate, they show an error saying not secure right beside your website. Of course, visitors aren't going to buy from a website that says not secure, and they might not even want to visit it. So an SSL certificate is nowadays a requirement, and it's free and automatic. There's no upsell involved. When you buy your hosting package with us, it will automatically install, and I'm going to show you that. We offer free Lightspeed web server with dynamic caching. A lot of web hosts out there, they use the Apache web server, which is free and open source, whereas Lightspeed's a more premium enterprise-based web server, and it responds faster. You'll notice faster page load times. Feel free to ask your current web host, what web server software do you use? And if they don't say Lightspeed, then of course this is a difference between that and Apache, and it's worth a test to see if it speeds up your site. You will find that it does. We also include free dynamic caching. It's likely if you're running WordPress, you've heard of like W3 Total Cache or any other WordPress caching plugin. Lightspeed actually has their own caching plugin, which installs inside of WordPress and allows your site to load faster because it caches your dynamic resources. Some companies, especially the premium WordPress hosting companies, they charge extra for dynamic caching. We don't. It's available in all of our packages. We offer CloudFlare for free with Railgun. CloudFlare is a performance CDN as well as security tool for your website. It is free to use CloudFlare just in general, but it's actually integrated into our servers. So once you set up your site, you can go to cPanel, CloudFlare, and activate it on your site. But then we also give you access to the Railgun. The Railgun is not normally free. If you go to cloudflare.com right now and you want Railgun, you have to purchase at least their business package, which is $200 a month. But we're going to give you this feature for free with our partnership with Cloudflare. Railgun can speed up your site up to 200%. So look at your site now, up to 200% faster because it pulls resources from your site from a data center closest to the visitor. So in simple terms, I'm in Kansas City. If I go visit a website with Railgun enabled, I'm going to load all those resources for the site from a Cloudflare data center in Kansas City. It's going to pull those from the NameHero servers. So it decreases latency and speeds up your website. This is especially helpful for some of our customers that are international. We frequently get questions, will I have page latency if my website is hosted in the United States, my visitors in the United Kingdom or another country? Cloudflare Railgun helps speed that up. Of course, test it and see for yourselves. We offer complimentary nightly backups, so automatically each night servers run, they will back up your data, and you can also restore those right inside of cPanel. So they're your backups and you have access to them. I'll demonstrate that shortly as well. We do real-time malware scanning. So when files are uploaded to your WordPress, we check them to make sure there's no malware or malicious files in there. If you've ever ran WordPress and ran into that, it can get quite nasty. It's free with all of our hosting packages and runs in real time. We also run free and automatic security patching. If there's a vulnerability in your WordPress install, maybe you have incorrect permissions, or maybe you're running an older version of WordPress with known security holes, we'll automatically run through that and patch that every single night for you. Of course, once a patch is made, it doesn't need to be repatched, but then we'll send you a notice that we did that and also let you know some important action steps to take, because if you're running a version version of WordPress with security, where security patches are needed, most likely it's time to upgrade it. But we'll at least give you that time to, hey, we applied the security update. You now need to upgrade WordPress, but you'll get an email with that. And that's all free and automatic here at NameHero. There's no plugin, excuse me, there's no plugins to install, or there's nothing special you have to do. We offer one-click installation, cloning, and staging of WordPress. You'll never have to upload the WordPress files, create databases, mess with any code. Everything is done right inside your browser. You can scale on demand. As I mentioned, NameHero, we wanted to have an affordable, high-performing, premium WordPress hosting product that did not cost hundreds of dollars a month. Now, if your website takes off, if it goes viral on Facebook or Twitter, or your business just grows, you can scale on demand with our cloud. You can upgrade to any hosting package at any time in our interface, and it automatically will grab those new resources. So you don't have to migrate over to another server. It will scale up. Now, if you reach our top tier, which is our business cloud package, and you outgrow that, we can of course move you to a cloud VPS, and that does require a small migration, but once you're on that, really the sky is the limit from there, because you can continue growing from there. So customers love the fact that they can start small, and as their business grows, they can scale on up without having to change web hosts again or go hire an IT guy. We remain consistent here at NameHero, so your site stays online regardless of how much traffic you get. We can go all the way up to millions of visitors a day. There's no solution that we cannot accommodate here at NameHero. We might have to do a custom package. It's not listed on our site, but we can definitely take care of you. We allow for multiple versions of PHP. Some web hosts, they just lock you in at one version of PHP, and if you need to run an older version or you even want to run a newer version, you're kind of locked in or at their mercy. We allow you to select whatever version of PHP you need to run. While I recommend the latest version of PHP, I understand that some people might have some older plugins and they need some more time to develop the new ones or get their developers to provide them those updates. So you have full control over PHP for your website inside your control panel. And you can also control things such as upload limit, max file size, stuff that other web hosts would make you create a custom PHP any file and try to be all complicated. You don't have to do that. It's just all point and click at NameHero. At NameHero, we also offer 99.9% server uptime. This is different than network uptime. If you have a current web host, ask them what their server uptime is. Network uptime is different. Network uptime means we never lose connectivity to the internet. Well, we have 5 or 6 different backbones, so it's 100% network uptime here at NameHero. There's never going to be a time, unless the apocalypse happens, that we lose connectivity to the internet. However, server uptime is a different story. That's how often your website stays online. If you've ever been on a host that goes up and down, you know how frustrating that is. Because the way we've built out our infrastructure, coupled with how we monitor our servers, we are able to offer 99.9% uptime. And I know that may sound like sales jargon there, but go to our website. We actually publish uptime reports every single year of multiple NameHero nodes, so you can see this data from a third party, non-biased, and we actually back this up with facts. So it's not just something I'm just spewing out of my mouth. We do offer 24/7, 365 days a year, phone, ticket, and chat support at no additional fees. I know some the more premium WordPress hosts, they charge extra for support. It's with all of our packages, no upcharge for priority support. Everything is just there. We answer everything very quickly. We offer free migrations. If you are at another web host, we will move your website over free of charge. Just simply fill out a migration request when you sign up or reach out to our sales team and they will tell you how to do that. Okay, so that's our main WordPress features. Let's demonstrate some of this stuff now. So 1 second here while I switch over to our windows. So this is the main NameHero website. It's likely you've heard of us before, but if not, welcome. We're glad to have you. If you click View Plans here, this will show you our 3 main products here at NameHero: our web hosting packages, our reseller hosting packages, and our VPS hosting packages. Most likely, you're looking for our web hosting packages. This is where most everyone starts. Unless that you're wanting to resell hosting, you might start here. And then, of course, once you grow out of web hosting, you can go to our VPS. So let's just dive down here and take a look at these packages. So we have 4 different packages we offer. Now, as mentioned, these all come with a free domain for the first year. That's a registration or transfer. They are cloud hosted for speed, performance, reliability, and we do have the free SSL certificates. So let's go down here and take a look at them. We have the Starter, Plus, Turbo, and Business Cloud package. Now, on each one of these, we have a suitable for the number of estimated visitors per month. So this allows those of you that may not be as technical with some of this stuff down here to determine what package you need. Now, by no means is this a limit. If you reach 10,000 visitors, we don't turn off your hosting package. It's an estimate of about how many visitors you could potentially serve. Some customers, this might be lower, some it might be much higher. But this is kind of the average based on your RAM that we allocate here. And I talked about that earlier. The more RAM you have, the faster your site is, the more visitors you can serve. So this allows those that don't know anything about RAM and all that just to easily discover which package fits best for their website. So you can easily look, go to Google Analytics, go to your whatever you're using to track your visitors, and look how many visits you're getting a month, and then you can easily decide on your package. So with these packages though, the main thing that differentiates them, of course, is the visitors based on the RAM. So 1 gigabyte for the starter, 2 gigabyte for the plus, 3 gigabyte for the turbo, and 4 gigabytes for the business cloud. So take a look at that. Look at how many visitors you have and how much RAM you would like, and that's the first thing to decide. Second, how many websites are you looking for hosting? The starter allows hosting for 1 website. The Plus allows for 6 websites, the Turbo is unlimited websites, and the Business is unlimited websites as well. So the most popular package at NameHero is our Plus Cloud and our Turbo Cloud, because we often find people that buy hosting, they say, well, even if I just have 1 website now, I might need hosting for another one down the road. Me personally, being an entrepreneur, I could never settle off just 1 website. I've always had multiple websites. So I would always go for this Turbo because I needed unlimited. But Plus at least gives you the option, other than just having 1 website hosted, you can at least have 6. So I'd say that's the most popular package at NameHero. And then those that want to have that added RAM and the ability to host at least 50,000, they go for the Turbo. Of course, if you have more than that, then the Business is a great suit for you. If you have a startup or you're just a small business and you just know you have 1 website and you want to get it out there, the starter is good for you. All right, with that said, let's talk about file limitations. We do offer the unlimited SSD storage, but if you hover over the I, you're going to see our inode limit. Inode pretty much means files, and this is how many files you can have on your website. Most customers never reach this. 250,000 for the starter, the Plus, the Turbo is 500,000, and the Business is 500. So 500,000. It depends on how big your website is if you'll ever reach this limit. Most customers never do. The customers that do reach this limit are also using these packages for email hosting. We do allow you to host your email on all of these packages. So in addition to hosting your WordPress website, you can also host all your emails. But then again, if you don't clear out your emails every once in a while or delete some new messages, then you might start filling that up. And so that's why we have those file or inode limits in place. It's basically for email consumption, so we don't have someone that just has an email inbox and never clears it out, kind of like my wife has an email inbox full of 20,000 emails. So if you are going to be using the email, we just encourage you to delete some emails frequently, and you will never encroach on that limit. As mentioned, unlimited bandwidth for all of these. The RAM we've talked about, they all come with free SSL, the free SSD RAID 10, the Lightspeed cache feature we talked about, the dynamic caching, CloudFlare with railguns offered with all of them, and then of course unlimited parts, subdomains, and email accounts come with these, all of them. If you hover over superhero features, you can see the Lightspeed web server, the SSD RAID 10, Maria database, which is a drop-in for MySQL, so which means if you're currently using WordPress, you could be using MySQL, but Maria database is just like MySQL. It's the same thing, but just faster. So you'll notice a difference in performance, but you won't notice any difference how WordPress behaves, other than it'll just be faster and more efficient. Our daily backups, 99.9% uptime, and our 24/7 support. So that's our WordPress hosting packages here at NameHero. To get started, you would simply select which package you would like, and then you would go through our sign-up process. Now, when you sign up, here's the details on the registration, the free registration. You have to choose a .com, .net, .org, .mobi, .usbiz, or .co.uk to take advantage of the free registration. I know they've came out with all these GTLDs nowadays, and so it's impossible to keep up with all of those. So these are the free ones, which me personally, I'm a .com person. I only buy .coms nowadays. I used to buy a couple .nets, but I stick to .com nowadays. But if you want to, venture out, you can. We offer hundreds of TLDs in here, but to take advantage of the free credit, it's got to be one of those mentioned. So keep that in mind. Now, if you already have your domain, you would choose option 2, transfer your domain from another registrar. So let's say your domain is over at your current host. Again, it's free for the .com, .net, .org, .mobi, .usbiz, or .co.uk. free for that first year. So you would just type in your domain here, select your TLD here, and click transfer. And so that would bring your domain over with your hosting package. Option 3, if your domain's at, say, GoDaddy, and maybe your hosting's over at Bluehost, and you just want to move the Bluehost hosting, you want to keep the domain at GoDaddy. Hey, that's fine, I get it. I personally like to have everything in one bill, but maybe you don't, and you can always do that later. So you could just add your domain here, put the TLD here, and you could use your same domain that's at GoDaddy or wherever else, maybe Namecheap, and bring the hosting over to us. So let's just enter an example domain here. On the next screen, you'll be able to confirm your package with us. So I've got our Plus Cloud. It gives us all the details. I can choose my billing cycle. Now, it's really important to note this. Our best pricing is with 36 months. So this is 3 years in advance. That's the best price. If you don't want to pay 3 years in advance, you can go down to 1 year. For the Plus Cloud, that is the smallest billing cycle you can get. But the price regularly is $11.99 a month. But with our spring promotion we're currently running, it cuts a good bit off this price. But the longer you pay, you can see the price drops. And as noted here, the discount will apply on checkout. I recommend 36 months. You only have to worry about a hosting bill once every 3 years, but it's completely up to you. Next, we have our drop site, off-site backups. We do have complimentary nightly backups at NameHero, but that's for 1 night's worth of data. If you want to have like 30 days of backups, I recommend adding these. You can add 5 gigabytes of Drop My Site space for $1.99 a month. So it's up to you. I know a lot of WordPress customers, they do their own backups. They have their own backup plugins, and so they don't want to do this. I like it because it's completely off-site from NameHero, and so you always have these backups at your disposal. We do have the complimentary nightly backups, but if you need to go back like a week ago or 2 days ago or 3 days ago, you would need additional backups. So how much is it worth to you? If you want to spend the $1.99 a month, great. If not, there's no pressure. Dedicated IP address. If you plan on using your account for email, I do recommend this. So it's a pretty simple question. Using email, yes, then get the dedicated IP. The dedicated IP ensures the highest level of email deliverability because it shows other servers out there when you're sending email that you are a dedicated client to that IP and not a shared IP client, which gives you a higher deliverability rate, the less likely you'll end up in a spam box. All right, here at the end, and I didn't have the promo code here, but if using the promo code, I'm actually logged in, so it's not showing. This is where that discount will apply. So right now I'm paying full price. The promo code for New Spring right now will knock off about 40% of this price here. So you're going to save a bunch. All right, so that's enough about the setup. Once you complete your payment, you'll be online, and if you're following along, a new customer, then you can join us in as soon as you complete your payment. Once again, use that coupon code. It will show. I've already ordered on my end, so it's not showing on this end. If you have any problems, feel free to let us know. So now I'm inside the NameHero client area, and you're going to notice this is where my hosting packages are. This is where my domains are kept. If I have any ticket problems or need to see any trouble requests, I can submit a ticket, and I can view my invoices here. I want to go in and check out my hosting package. So I've got a couple demos here, but today we're going to be talking about the Plus Cloud package. Remember, this is probably the most popular web hosting package at NameHero because it does allow for up to 6 domains if hosted, and also has a little bit more RAM than the starter. So I click on it, and here's all the details about my package. You can see I've got a Plus Cloud, it's web hosting. Here's the IP address of my account. And this will change depending on what server you're set up on and all that. So this is unique per package. Here's the name of my server and the name servers. So these are important because if my domain's over at GoDaddy and I chose option 3, I have to go update my domain to use these name servers. The name servers are what connects your domain to your hosting package. So if your domain's not registered with us, you would need to go to wherever it's registered and update those name servers. If you registered your name with us, then they're updated automatically. Okay, and disk usage and bandwidth is unlimited, and you can see on this account I'm only using 180 megabytes, 7 megabytes of bandwidth, nowhere close to anywhere, but it is unlimited anyways. I did not order a dedicated IP address when I ordered this account, but if I decided I wanted to use it for email, I could add one there. All right, so now I want to go into cPanel. And cPanel is the control panel we use here at NameHero. It allows you to take full control over your website. So let's start here talking about SSL because that's probably one of the most popular features. In the search box, if I just type in SSL, I'm going to find SSL/TSL status, and this is where we check that auto SSL. When I click it, you're going to see these green boxes. And this means that you do have a valid SSL certificate on your domain. You can see Auto SSL domain validated. It says it expires here in my case, August 12th, 2019, but it'll automatically renew. So you don't have to worry about the expiration. It's automatic and free. If your domain's showing a red box, this means one of two things. One, you just signed up and your DNS hasn't propagated yet, so give it some more time. Two, if you have not updated your name servers. Just a few seconds ago, I showed you the name servers. You have to make sure you're using those on your domain for this to generate. You can try to manually force it by selecting this and clicking Run Auto SSL, and this will manually generate that certificate. So it's automatic if you don't want to do anything, but if you want to force run it, you can do it that way. All right, before we jump into WordPress, let's talk about PHP real fast. If you type in PHP, you're going to see a section called Select PHP Version. This is what allows you to run multiple versions of PHP. I currently have mine set to 7.2, which is probably the biggest release of PHP right now, mostly used. 7.3 is the newest, but still some plugins aren't quite compatible with 7.3. So I think 7.2 is our default right now. So if you just signed up with NameHero, that's what we're using. But that could change. But I always recommend running whatever the default is, just for security and performance. But if you need to go back to 7.0, you can. And even if you need to go back to 5.6, you can. We even have on this specific node all the way back to 4.4. Don't really recommend that. Some plugins might not even function with it. But you always have that available option. Now, people say, hey, Ryan, I don't want to use an old version of PHP for security. Well, that's a half-truth. Sure, an older version of PHP does have security flaws, but this isn't your normal version of PHP. This is managed and updated by a third-party vendor at NameHero, meaning that it's not just the standard 5.6. It's 5.6, but it's a secured/updated version of 5.6. So you are going to have more security than you would just running regular PHP 5.6. While I still do recommend, getting your site to the place of upgrade, you can still temporarily run these other versions. I'm going to go back to 7.2. And to select your version, it's simple as selecting it here and clicking Set as Current. And then, of course, your current version is highlighted here. Next, these are PHP extensions, and these are the default ones. You might, at times, find when you install a plugin or a theme needs a specific PHP extension, you could install that here. So if it needed, say, iNotify, I'd click here and click Save, and then it would be installed on my account. So I know back in the old days or some other web host, you would have to submit a ticket and let them know. You don't have to do that. You can set up all your PHP extensions here. Likewise, if I click Switch to PHP Options, this is where I can change my memory limit, my upload limit, all that stuff that a lot of plugins and themes ask you to do. I know you might get an error when you upload an image in WordPress that says, hey, your upload limit's too low, or hey, you've exhausted your memory limit. Well, this is where you modify that. So you can see we've got several options here, and I recommend not touching any of these unless you specifically are asked to or know what you're doing. But of course, the memory limit's a big one. I've got mine set to 192 megabytes. I can go all the way up to 512. Really, 128 is pretty standard. 64 is kind of low. If you're using like Divi, I know 128 you need. But 192 is kind of right in the middle, so that's where I've left mine. I click Apply. Post max size. This goes to how much data can be posts when you're writing a post or sending up data. 64 megabytes is sometimes good. 128 is even bigger. I think the default's 2, so that's really not near high enough. So 64 is normally good. Upload max file size. This goes to when you're uploading an image in WordPress. You can upload up to whatever this is. 2 megabytes, like the default's way too small. 64 is good. 1 gig might even time out because that depends on your local internet connection, but 64 is a good place, or even 128 is fine. And then once we make those changes, we want to make sure we save them here. So this takes place. A lot of other web hosts out there require you to upload this php.ini file and edit it, and I know it can get kind of complicated. At NameHero, we like to do everything inside of here, so it's just point, click, save. Simple, easy, you don't have to worry about anything else. Don't overcomplicate things. Okay, so that's SSL, and that's our PHP. Let's now talk about WordPress and installation. If we go down here to the bottom, you'll see Softaculous Apps Installer. That is how we install WordPress. So if I click on WordPress here, you can see this is where I would go to install it. All I need to do is click Install Now, And all you have to do is go through this really quick and easy application, so to speak, or form to install WordPress. It gives you a couple versions to choose from. I know 5.0 came out a couple months ago, and they introduced Gutenberg, which is their new editor. A lot of people don't like it, and some plugins aren't compatible with 5.0 yet, so they still allow 4.9. I personally recommend always the latest version, but if you absolutely had to, you could go back here just a little bit. You can choose to use your secure domain, which again is recommended. If you do this and you see an error like this is most likely because the hosting account's new, or it's not recognizing that automatic SSL certificate. We already confirmed that earlier in the video, so this is a false positive. So if you get that, you can ignore it as long as you did check in the previous step. Of course, our only domain right now that we have set up is keydiets.com. We did buy a hosting package that allows for 6 domains, so I could have multiple. And of course, if you want to install it on a different domain, you can do that here. In directory, this is the directory that will be installed, that WordPress will be installed in. Most people like to leave this blank, so when someone goes right to their domain, they see WordPress. If you put a directory, this means that you're assuming your audience is going to go to the domain / whatever the directory is. And it explains it here if you have any questions on that. This is your site name. You can always change this later, so I personally leave it default, then change it later. Enable multi-site. This is if you're going to use a multi-site version of WordPress. I personally don't mess with it. I know we've got several customers that do, but basically, unless you specifically know you want to set it up that way, don't check that. Admin account, you want to make sure, use strong stuff here. Use a username and numbers. Not too much gibberish, but like Ryan G125. Something that's just not easy to guess. Same with the password. Please don't use pass. Use the key here. And the key generates a pretty strong one, but I like to make sure mine's 100 for 100. So you can see here, I can just add a bunch of stuff and see 100 for 100. That's what I want my password to look like, because I want my install secure. You should do the same. Your admin email, this should be a valid email address, so in case you lose your password, you can have access to your account. Language, I speak English, so that's what I would choose. If you speak another one, select it from there. A couple different plugins here. Limit login attempts, Loginizer. This protects you from brute force attempts, so it protects you from someone trying to log into your WP admin. I like it, but it's not a requirement. The classic editor, we talked about Gutenberg coming out in 5.0. If you do not want to use Gutenberg, but you do want to use WordPress 5.0 Plus, you can check this and it will bring back the classic editor that you've used with WordPress for years past. There is some advanced options. The only ones I really like here, one, database, I don't like to change that. Table prefix, I don't like to change that. Is the auto upgrade. I like to upgrade to the major versions myself because I hate an outdated version of WordPress, major security threat. But if you just want to upgrade to minor versions, that might save you a headache. Some people are scared of WordPress updates because it might break their site. So if you select this minor version, this will make sure you don't go from like 4 point whatever to 5.0 where they change the whole editor. But nonetheless, you still need to keep WordPress updated. So this will automatically do it for you if you don't want to worry about doing it. Same with your plugins and themes. You can have this automatically do it for you if you don't want to log in and do it. Backups, we don't do those here, so don't worry about that. Select themes. We have some free themes inside of here. When you first install WordPress, they just have the real basic theme. So if you want a more of a premium look, these are free. A lot of our customers like to go buy their own from outside vendors, and that's fine too. But if you want a free one, feel free to use these. And when you're finished, you click Install. I've already installed WordPress, so I'm just going to go back to my installation here. And once you install it, it looks like this. So my install here, Key Diets, if I click on it, you can see I just have a very basic site set up here. Nothing fancy at all, just a very basic theme. But using this login here, I can click this guy here, and it brings me to my admin area. And this way I don't have to, it's good to note your WordPress username and password, but if you're using Softaculous, you can just click this guy and get in here to your WordPress admin. And so that's why there's really no reason why that you make your password easy to guess, because you just use that to log in anyways and keep the bad guys and gals out of your account. Okay, this is a WordPress dashboard. If you've ever used WordPress, it's pretty standard stuff here. If you're new to WordPress, I recommend spending some time and getting comfortable with this, because this is where you take full control over your site. Everything to your site can be done inside of here. As far as setting up the theme, the design, the look and feel, the pages and posts, everything is created inside of this interface. So we have home, we have our updates, is where the updates take place. Our posts, where we would create our post. Media, this is where we upload our pictures and stuff. Our pages, where we go to create pages for our site. If we're allowing comments, they would be in here. The appearance section, of course, is where we add our themes. It's where we customize things, add widgets, menus, headers, install plugins, and themes. We'll get the plugins separately here. So plugins, WordPress allows you to do all kinds of things with plugins. So let's talk about that, because these are important. So me personally, I don't like a ton of plugins inside my WordPress. I feel like the more plugins, the more RAM it uses, and also the more security threats that are there, because you have to keep all these updated. So, they come up with Hello Dolly. I mean, you may or may not want that, but there's some that I really do like. One, we talked about dynamic caching at NameHero. Lightspeed Cache, that's one I like because it does work with the Lightspeed web server, but I don't like to activate that until my site's like built and ready to go. So like right now, my site's, I'm just building it. So I would want to keep this deactivated until I build my site. Once it is built, you could go to activate it. And you can see there is tons of settings in this. So I don't recommend messing with the settings unless you specifically know what you're doing. The default settings work for most of our customers. But of course, if you are more technical and want to edit some of this stuff, there is tons of info on this page, and even our support team can make some recommendations. But of course, there is, if you Google Lightspeed Cache, there's tons of forums out there that talk about this and how to use it. Now, if you don't see it inside of your plugins, you could always click Add New and add it. So I just go to Plugins, Add New. I'm going to type in Lightspeed, enter, and I've got the option to install it here. Again, I've already installed and activated it, but if you don't see it, that's how you add it. So let's go back to our installed, and again, I want to deactivate mine because I'm still working on my site. Loganizer, that's one that I installed in the very beginning, that protects me from brute force. It just keeps people from brute force logging into my site. So if you want to use it, you can. It's good to prevent brute force. Really simple SSL. Now, this is important. We already talked about how NameHero offers free and automatic SSL. However, if we're not using secure URLs, it will come off as not secure. So this is really a common request or ticket we get at NameHero, is that people say, hey, why is my site not secure? I've got the secure certificate. I see the green locks in cPanel. Well, you have to configure all your URLs to load from HTTPS. So there's many ways to do this, such as modifying your settings here, or the easy way is adding really simple SSL. It really lives true to its name. So once again, to install this, we go back to Plugins and Add New, and we would just type it in here. Really simple. That's good enough. And here it is. I would just install it and activate it. And once you do, then all your pages will be HTTPS. So I like adding that, and we frequently tell customers here at NameHero, if you don't want to hassle with making sure everything's coded correctly, install that plugin and you're off to the races. It's a good plugin. It's very lightweight, and they keep it updated. WordFence security, we have our real-time malware scanning or automatic patching, but still, I personally like to have one more added piece of security, at least, and that's this WordFence security plugin. So you don't have to use WordFence specifically. I know Jetpack has a security suite. There's Ninja Firewall. There's all kinds of WordPress security plugins, but I always just recommend running at least one of them, at least WordFence, at least Ninja Firewall, because it's just another level of security to your website. It scans your website for malware. Yes, we do that, but still, every malware scanner is different in terms of what malware it detects, because maybe WordFence knows of something before we know of something, or maybe we know of something before WordFence. So they kind of work together. So just like all the other plugins, you go to Add New, you can type in WordFence, and it's free, by the way. I like free plugins. I don't like to pay for plugins. So you just go here and install it. Now, I do have it deactivated right now, because I'm still working on my site, and this actually makes some modifications to my htaccess file. So I will activate this once I get my site up and going. But I definitely recommend one. You don't have to have it if you don't want to. But again, in my opinion, the more security, the better. So that's the plugins for WordPress. Those are the ones I really recommend. Now, of course, when you're developing, you're installing themes, you might need a contact form plugin. Well, that's fine. Adding plugins is fine. That's why they are available. I just don't like to see like a Google Analytics plugin to add Google Analytics. That seems kind of redundant to me. But again, it's up to you. Most themes allow you to insert Google Analytics inside of there. So I just don't like to see like 100 plugins because I think it's too many. So just be smart when you're adding the plugins. Make sure you have a valid reason for it. All right, so now we have our users. This is just all the users who have access to WordPress. And this is one I set up, rgray19. You can add users, and from right here, if you want to add another administrator, very simple and easy. You have multiple people writing on your site. Tools, just kind of the tools to help you migrate in your existing data. If you're not doing our migration, you can import or export. You can see the health of your WordPress site. This has got some nice stuff here about, you should remove inactive plugins. Yes, you should. Remove inactive themes. Yes, you should. We recommend that you keep PHP up to date. And also modules are missing. So, what you can deal with stuff that's mentioned here and resolve it. The info here on your exact site stuff. And our team can help you if you need some stuff that needs to be fixed. Then your general settings that we talked about in the very beginning when we installed WordPress can be modified here. It goes all the way down the list here from writing, reading, all the way to SSL. Okay, so that's the basic stuff. That's the basic stuff with WordPress. Next, I want to talk about CloudFlare and where you go to enable that. So let's go back into cPanel. So I'm just going back to NameHero, going to log into cPanel. Now, if I wanted to activate CloudFlare, which is a free NameHero feature, I would go in here and go to CloudFlare. So I do this through cPanel. And you can see if I already have a CloudFlare account, I could log in here. So if I have a CloudFlare account, I could log in with it. If I don't, I need to create one. So I would need to click sign up, and I could create my CloudFlare account here. Now, when you're doing this, you want to make sure you're creating with the free CloudFlare account. It's the free CloudFlare account, but you have access to the Railgun. But basically, you just need to make sure that you log in, once you create your account, that you're logged into the NameHero. I know sometimes that they try to redirect you over to CloudFlare, so just create your account, and then you can come back in here, go to CloudFlare here, click here, and then you could just sign in. That keeps it simple and easy, and then you could follow through the steps to enable CloudFlare. I don't want to make this video a CloudFlare video, but it's very easy. Once you have your account, you just log in here and you can complete the setup. I've got plenty of YouTube tutorials on this. Just search CloudFlare under the NameHero YouTube channel, and I'll go through all these options in brutal detail. All right, next option is the backups. So if I scroll down here to the bottom, this is unique to NameHero, we have backup administration. This allows me to manage my nightly backups that are free and automatic. So if I click CP Remote Dashboard, you can see these are my restore logs. So if I've ever restored a backup, there'll be a log file in here, which I have not. If I need to restore a domain, a database, an email account, or a file or folder. So one, if I need to restore an entire domain, remember, we're allowed to have up to 6 domains. So Key Diet's the only one I've added, and 6 domains for my package. I could restore that from last night's backup. Now that is going to restore the entire domain, so be careful when you do this. I always tell people it's probably best to make another backup before restoring a backup, just in case. So this is where you would do it, but I would recommend having a full backup of your site before restoring anything. Restoring a database, if I messed up my database, I only have one, which is my WordPress database, I can restore just that, not all my files, not all my emails, and I would do that in here. I also have the option to restore an email account. So I don't have any set up in this account because it is a demo, but let's say I did use my hosting account for emails and I deleted something and I needed it, I could pull a full backup from an email account specifically. So I don't have to restore my whole site, my whole database. And next, a specific file or folder. So, if you just need a one file, you deleted one directory or one file, you can restore it specifically here. One, we select the backup. Next, we type in where the file is. Public HTML, this is our home directory. So anything that the web sees is in here. / let's say I deleted my index file. I could do that. And this would restore only my index file, my main index file for my website. So this is very valuable that you don't have to go pull a whole night's backup just to get one file. So that's how backups work at NameHero. It's pretty self-explanatory, pretty easy, 100% free. You don't have to pay for these. They just come with your account, and they run once every night. Now, they do just retain 1 day's worth of data. So if you need more, I do recommend that 30-day backup option that we talked about during sign up. Okay, so now we've covered SSL, we've covered PHP, we've covered the WordPress install and the basic WordPress dashboard, as well as the backups. Next, I want to talk about vulnerability patching. If we go into cPanel and we just type in PAT, we're looking for Patchman. This is our real-time vulnerability scanning that runs every night, and it looks for any vulnerabilities inside your WordPress, and if it discovers any, it fixes them. Well, it's going to send you an email, but this will detail that data. So if you ever get an email that you had a vulnerability patched, the details are inside of here. I can go right here to perform scan, and I can actually scan my whole website right now. When I do this, it takes a little bit to run, so it's not something I do and just immediately run. It says your manual scan has been requested successfully. And so this takes a couple of minutes, 10, 15 minutes to run, and then you will have the results available inside of here. So that's our real-time vulnerability scanning, and it also looks for malware. So it's another malware scanner on top of our already powerful malware scanning that we're using. Okay, so now I want to show you a couple more features and we'll complete this video. We have tons of stuff for WordPress. So if I go down here, go back to WordPress, you're going to see another couple of options. One is to upgrade WordPress. So see right here, I've got my auto upgrade enabled. If I click on that, it's not going to do anything because it's already set. I'm on the latest version. But if I was running an older version, it would let me update it here. So if I didn't have auto update enabled, I could update WordPress right inside of here if I didn't want to do the WordPress dashboard. Next, there's a couple options here. One is to clone my website. Or no, I'm sorry, this is staging. Create staging for my website. This one's to create a clone of my website. This one's to back up my website, which again, we don't use this. We use the other backups I just showed you. This is to modify any details. You don't want to do that because most websites are already automatic and you don't want to change those. And this is to delete it. So if I wanted to delete WordPress, I would click the X. Most people don't want to do that. The two important features here is the staging and cloning. So I've got Key Diets here, which is my site. Let's say I wanted to add a new theme, but I didn't want my visitors to see it. So I could simply click on Create Staging here, and I could create, it takes a copy of my site and puts it in another directory. So for example, I'm using HTTPS, keep that. Once again, we ignore this, new account. Now, if I had another domain, I could put it on there. So let's say I had like keydietdevelopment.com or whatnot. You know, I wanted to do it on a whole other domain, I could. But the point of this is to create an environment where you can play with, test, develop on, where your visitors don't see it. So I personally just like to put it in a directory. So /wp/staging, stage or whatever. So now when I go to keydiets.com, people aren't going to see me make my changes. But if I go to keydiets.com/stage, that's my development install. That's where I'm developing stuff. Only I can see it. This is going to be the name of your database. It's going to copy your existing database and create a new one so we don't overwrite anything with your live site. You can leave that default. But I click Create Staging, and it just takes a little bit here to run because it's going to take your whole install, copy it, and deploy it. So now you can see it's been successfully staged. So now if I go to keydiets.com/stage, I will see an exact copy of my site. So just like I have here, I'll see a whole exact copy just like this, but now I have another admin area. So this is important. I have another admin area to where I can go add plugins, add themes, delete plugins, delete themes, change colors, change taglines, and I don't have to worry about messing up my main site because I'm just developing. But it's important that I make sure I'm logged into the staging admin area and not my real admin area. Those are easy to confuse. If I go to Return Overview, you're going to see now I have two copies of WordPress, my main WordPress and my staging WordPress. I can log into my admin for my staging here, or I can log into my admin to my main here. You can see here, this makes sure we're on the same version. It lets me know when I created the staging. So I installed this one on May 14th. It's May 16th today. So that's the staging. Now, when I'm done, if I made changes and I want to push those back out to the site, I would click this black button here. It says Push to Live. And this here lets me set everything back to the new site or to my existing site. So I can go to default and push to live. And this will, all the changes I made on the staging will go to the live site without having to do anything. It's important though. If changes have happened on your site, they will become overwritten. So if I click customize, I can control what I push out. So for example, overwrite files or folders. If you've uploaded images to your current install, if you've uploaded files, those are going to be removed. So you might not want to do that. You might not. In most cases, especially if you've uploaded new themes, you'll have to do this. But it's up to you what you want to push out. So you can or can't. Push full database. So if I've made changes to the database, which means if I've added pages, if I've modified pages or posts, I want to push database changes out. However, if I push the whole database, any other changes that's happened to my live site will be overwritten. Comments, new posts, modifications to posts. So a lot of people don't want to push their full database. They only want to do the data changes. So this here compares the changes and lets you just push those out. So you can see here, data changes in table. I only have one table right now that has any changes, but as I make more changes to the site, those tables would appear here. And this way I only push out the changes I've made without losing the data of my site. So that's important to know the difference between the default and the customize when pushing back to live, so you don't delete your site. Still yet, I like to take a backup of everything before I do this. Just my opinion. You can do you, but that's what I recommend. All right, if we go back to overview, I've got our other option. Our other option is to clone. Now, cloning is different from staging because cloning just takes an exact copy of your WordPress and copies it. But there's no path to push it live. So it's not a staging, it's a clone. So if I click clone, you can see I can actually clone. I can choose my protocol again and choose my domain. Now this is important because what you might find is you have like a basic WordPress setup for all your sites. Maybe you like to set up plugins and themes and you don't want to install WordPress over and over and over again. So you could actually clone one install. This is where cloning comes in necessary. And that way you don't have to redo all that stuff. It gives you the option to choose a domain. So if you're deploying to another domain, this could be valuable. Or if you just want to set it up in another directory, you could. And this creates the database. It's going to create a copy of your current database and create a new one. And then, of course, it's got the info of everything that's going to be cloning, so you know what it's cloning. All right, so that's cloning. Most people like to use the staging now because they copy it and then they can push it back to live. And people like to use cloning when they just have like a certain install they want to recopy over and over again. Now, it's important, once you're finished your staging, I always recommend to delete it. You don't want to have installs you're not using in here. That's a security threat. So, if you have an install in here using, great, make sure it's updated. But if you have an install you're not using anymore and you don't want to update, make sure you click the X. You're going to check and confirm and remove it, because keeping an active version of WordPress on your hosting account is a major security threat. So that's how WordPress works here at NameHero in a nutshell. I know we're only about 40 minutes or so into this video. I could go on and on with all the features that we have, but these are our main ones. Everything runs on our high-speed cloud. Going with us here at NameHero, yes, you get the free domain, you get the free perks, SSL, but you also get our cloud infrastructure, RAID 10 SSD, and all these features for an affordable price. You don't have to pay hundreds of dollars. Go compare us though. Try us out. Let us know what you think. We have a lot of customers. They love the speed, reliability, and redundancy that we offer here at NameHero, as well as all these features that are very easy to use. The staging's a huge one. The auto SSL is another big one. The dynamic caching is another one. So it should make your site much faster, and we really look forward to providing these features to you, and we hope you'll find much value in them as well. What I don't want to see you do is have to go out and overpay for WordPress hosting. Our goal here at NameHero is to make things affordable and to make things easy and simple. So yes, start out small. If your site does get really big and you need a VPS or you need a custom solution, we can of course accommodate that. But don't start out paying $100 a month when you don't need it. That's overkill. Finally, we are available 24/7, 365 to address your questions. If you click on support, click knowledge base, you can see we've got tons of, you can put your questions in here. We've got tons of guides, videos, but also we have superheroes 24/7, 365. call us, live chat us, or help desk us. We'd be more than happy to jump in and help you with whatever you may need. So thanks so much for watching. Thanks for considering us here at NameHero. We look forward to working with you. It's my pleasure to bring all these features to you. We're going to continue on improving as more features in WordPress come out, as more feedback comes in. We'll continue to implement more features to make them available to all of you. So thanks a bunch and have a great day.